Kingdom entrepreneurs are so different. Instead of focusing on what all the world people focus on, which is money, which is power, and all that good stuff, I just went to an event recently and they were all focused on how to serve people better. I mean, yeah, there's still a lot of outside events outside of the church that talks about how to serve people better, but this is different in many ways. And I'll share a couple of takeaways from the event that I went to, and we go from there. And we can continue the conversation on in a different episode, but I want to keep this episode kind of short and sweet. So here we go. Um, so first of all, thank you for coming back from Mission Human Excellence, episode 14. And these are some of the takeaways that I got from the Kingdom Entrepreneur event that I went to last Saturday. At the time of this recording, it's a couple of days ago, and I'm just coming back and taking some notes and really looking at them and see what like some of the bigger takeaways are. And obviously, there's a lot of like sound bites, a lot of the good one-liners and stuff, but I don't want to talk about those right now. Even though they're good, even though I know that they can serve you guys and serve everybody else, just to remember those one-liners. But let's get to the meat of it, right? Let's get to some of the top-down, like real good stuff, right? So before I get there, I just wanted to say like thank you for the people who put on the event. It was amazing. It was definitely something different that I experienced. A lot of other events that I went to, right? Whether it's through different companies or whether it's through different businesses or things like that, they have a very financial center focus, right? Maybe I was in the financial services industry and that's what they talk about, but I was also in like doing other things, but they're all focused on money, right? They're all focused on yes, building a future for yourself, building a future for your family, for your kids, but they're not really talking about building a future for generations to come. They're not talking about building a future that is within your character and your values. So this event was different in that way, but if you experience something else, let me know. That's just my experience inside of the event space that has, they just kind of teach you about some things and call it good, right? They're not really here to invest in you like in the spiritual level. So this was very a very centering event, not just for business but for spiritual as well. So I'm super grateful for the people who put it on, and shout out to Third Wave Hollywood, shout out to Victory Outreach for putting this on, and it's definitely going to be a blessing for so many other people. So like I said, like their focus wasn't making more money, right? Sorry, I'm reading off of the notes that I have. It's just one of the ways I get more organized. And I'm seeing, they're not focused on money. I wrote this in like 3 times, and they're not focused on money. The reason why they are so the entrepreneurs are so successful is because they serve people. It's because they're serving other people what they need and what they want, and they're just providing value to the marketplace. I think that's the biggest word. Like value is the biggest word. Value. One of the key points is how do we turn value into a profit, and we'll talk about it in a bit. Some of the takeaways, some of the stories that I heard, right? And then as kingdom entrepreneurs, we're called to stand out in the crowd, right? We're not called to be like everybody else. We're not called to be, like our neighbors, who's just doing whatever business, right? One of the previous episodes with David, he runs a very good on kingdom entrepreneurial business, right? It's not as entrepreneurial. He's taking risks to do the things he needs to do, but it's all very kingdom based, faith based, and in that sense, he makes sure everybody is filled spiritually, not just he has thirsty girl coffee, but not just making sure that they get a drink, but making sure they get the spirit behind the drink. Make sure they get the good, the good vibes, the good greetings and all that stuff. So that's what kingdom entrepreneurs are. We're called to stand in the crowd, and we're called to be Christ-like inside of the business world. can we agree it's pretty difficult to be Christ-like in the business world? There's a lot of greed happening, a lot of lust, probably, a lot of power tripping, and a lot of like these little nudges, these little stab behind the backs. I don't know what to call them right now, but you know what I mean? Like it's pretty difficult to stand out in the business world already, and we're called to be Christ-like inside of this world that tends to have a lot of corruption inside of the world. So we're called to, be full integrity. We're called to be full honesty. We're called to be like Christ. So some of the takeaways that I got focuses on that. And obviously this is an entrepreneur event, so we're gonna talk about money. We're gonna touch on business and all that stuff, but you'll see, like, even when I touch on that, one of the points I do touch on that, like, it's not because money is so good, but because what money can do for other people, that is what brings the goodness of money, right? So point number one I have right now is, doesn't matter what level you are, there's always going to be attacks from the enemy. So one of my friends spoke at this event. He was talking about, just different verses that really encouraged him lately. The things that he's been reading and all that stuff, and how he uses those for business. Now, can we all agree that Bible is probably the most dense business book there is? Like, I literally have a book in the back. It's the business lesson from Bible, right? And I have a workbook with it because there's so much into it. I want to dive deep into it, right? Bible is probably the best book in business. Why am I saying that? Is because there's so many verses, there's so many parables that talks about not just money, but talks about how we should treat people, in which we're in the people business. If you are in business, you're in the people business, because at the end of the day, no exchanges, no transactions are made without people. Even if you're at the grocery store, another person is taking your groceries. Now you have self-checkout. Yes, sure. There's still someone watching you. There's still someone there, right? Now, if you're like selling houses and all that stuff, you obviously can't sell it automatically and all that stuff. There's still people there. Now, if you have newsletters or like online businesses, you're like, oh yeah, everything's autopilot and all that stuff. You're still selling to another person, and the things that you write one time is still connecting with a lot of people. So you're still in the people business. Doesn't matter what you do, you're in the people business, right? So first thing is, you gotta make sure, it doesn't matter what level you are. You gotta make sure it doesn't matter where you are in your business, you are in the people business. Doesn't matter what sector it is, you're in the people business. I'm in the engineering space. I'm in the people business because my work eventually gets to the customer, and the customer is satisfied, they're gonna come back for more, right? It's the same thing. Now, where is that? What am I saying? Why am I saying all this? After the talk, right? He's talking about all this stuff. After the talk, he just goes quiet. I knew something was happening, but I didn't know what exactly it was. And he shared with me, and I asked him a question later, and then he shared with me something. And I'm gonna share it with you in a bit. But ask him a question. He's like, hey, there's fears. I have fears in my life. I just be transparent with them. And there's sometimes things get a little slower because I just got fear and my life is stopping me. And he said something. He said something like, "There's always going to be fears. There's always gonna be an enemy gonna fight you. Like, the enemy is never gonna let down because you're doing something. You're doing the next level. You're like, the enemy's not gonna give up. The enemy's gonna hit you harder." And the harder the enemy hits, the more you got to talk to yourself through the Holy Spirit and let the Holy Spirit guide you, instead of having your ego or your flesh or whatever it is that what people call it. I blank right now. But you got to let the Holy Spirit lead you, right? Like with there's a saying, right? Every new level, there's a new devil. It's true. Every new level, the enemy is going to come at you harder. So there's always going to be an enemy. There's always going to be attack from an enemy. But here's what you do. So I've been learning this, and I've been really implementing this. And I implement this thing where I talk to myself. So I kind of take myself out of my own space, out of my own body, right? It's almost like just standing next to the Holy Spirit, letting the Holy Spirit do his thing, while my physical body is sitting somewhere like in the seat, or sometimes I'll be driving and the Holy Spirit will be my passenger, right? So we have a conversation. Instead of just letting my thoughts run crazy, I will have a conversation. The conversation go in any way. Yo, I'm just not having it today. I'm just not having it today. It's been a frustrating day and all that stuff. Yada yada yada. And the Holy Spirit will start consulting me. Start being the counselor like he is, right? So I started talking to myself, and I find out that's what my friend Pablo did too. He's the one that spoke, and he also was in the podcast, and that's what that's kind of sort of thing what he does. He manages it, he deals with it, he kind of sometimes ignores it, but at the end of the day, he knows how to work with it, because that's we are human. We tend to have those things. We just have those things because that's part of who we are, right? So number one is understand that no matter what level you are, there's going to be enemy attacking. There's going to be enemy attacking. And that's okay. Work with it. Let the Holy Spirit deal with it. And let your flesh just take a back seat and let God take control. Right? Jesus take the wheel. Alright? Number two I have here is money is a exchange of value that you can provide in your life. So what does that mean? There's a lot of people that have value in their lives but can't convert them into money. Or there's a lot of people that has money but don't really have values, don't really add value, right? The example I can best give is, there's definitely people that I've talked to, like elders or deacons, or like some people at church who are extremely well versed, extremely wise, and there's a lot of things happening, a lot of good things that they can talk about, but they can't convert that value into monetized value. They just don't have the way to exchange it. They don't know the mechanism to do it, or things like that, right? So whatever it is that we do, we gotta be able to provide value and be able to exchange that value for financial gains. That's how business is grown, right? Like I said, we're gonna talk about business here, but the biggest thing that I learned from this section of the talk is, I think a couple minutes later, he said, yes, it's the exchange of value that you have on someone else's life. And here's also the best marketing strategy. Here's also the only way you should think about business. Here's the only thing, the exact thing that you can use to build your business. So every business that builds this way, I promise you, every business that builds this way is going to be successful. And the best marketing strategy, that is basically someone saying, why would I buy this? Why would I hire anybody else besides you for the things I need? For example, if you're a plumber, why would I go to any other plumber for this? For plumbing? Or if you are in construction, right? Why would I go to anybody else to build an ADU, right? An electrician. Why would I go to anybody else to do my electrical, right? Like, be like that, not just in your business, but also in your career, where it's like your manager comes to you, has some work, and they go, why would I go with anybody else but Ed to get this part done? Right? It just makes no sense for somebody else to do it, because the way you do it is the best. Right? Be the best in the space that you're already in. For example, in the job space that you have, if you are, I work with a lot of welders. Right? If you're in welding, be the best welder that you got. If you're in sales, be the best sales guy. Work the hardest, whatever it is that it takes, right? To be the best that there is inside of the company or inside of your business. So basically, like, why would anybody go anywhere else for the things that you have, right? Make no sense to go anybody else, right? That's the biggest, best and most effective marketing strategy there is, right? And that leads me to number three. And number three is always bring a positive ROI to a business. If you're the best, right, you obviously is bringing a positive ROI. ROI is return on investment into a business. So if a business sees you as a positive ROI, so basically means you're an asset to the business. So they pay you $10, you can help them make 100, right? Things like that. Then they're gonna keep you. For example, like your job, if you treat your job as a business, then if let's just say you're a sales guy and you sell $1 million worth of jobs in this calendar year, right? But your salary is only 100 grand plus whatever commission it is that they pay out. They pay you about 150 grand, but you give them $1 million worth of business. They'll probably keep you, right? They'll probably keep you there. A lot of people in tech sales, that's how the structure is put out, right? But tech sales also have a base salary. If your base salary is 100 grand and you only sold like 25 grand, you're not really an asset at that point, right? You're not really an asset to the business. So why would they want to keep you? They have to justify themselves to keep you as an expense, right? So be the positive ROI. And if you have a service-based company or if you have a product-based company, whatever it is, how can you provide more value than what the customer has paid? The person who does a stock, he has a social media marketing agency. When he first started the agency, he was just filming videos. It wasn't really anything, but he just liked filming videos. That's what he did. So he continued to do that. But after a while, people are like, look, man, I love you and all, but like, I just can't justify this expense anymore. And the word here is the word here is expense. When you are in expense, the business is trying to cut down expenses constantly. The business is trying to make sure that they spend less so they can profit more, right? So when you're in expense, business tend to cut you out. And that's the way business is. But once he started learning about how to turn his videos into money-making machines that the clients can have, it just clicked, right? Like it makes some sense for like a client to not pay $1,000 if those videos are making them like 5 grand, 10 grand, 20 grand. I'll pay $1,000 to make 10 grand. Like that's easy money for me, right? So there's things like that, right? A positive ROI for the business is always going to be good. Now, on to the fourth point. This is the last point. Want to keep this one a little short. The last one is plan with the end in mind. I was reminded of this, right? I do a thing called gap map, which we basically cast the vision for you and we work backwards to see like what kind of steps you need to take every single day or every single moment for you to get to the place that you need to get to. It just reminded me of that. Am I perfect at running a gap map for myself? I'm at like 62% maybe, right? But I was reminded that the only thing that really matters is the way we see our future. So, a couple of things. One is we got to visualize what our future is. We got to go touch what the future is, right? Number two, we got to go touch it. And number three, we got to try to live it once in a while. You're going to visualize it, you're going to touch it, and you're going to try to live it once in a while. Doesn't mean you go, break your bank and be like, I'm gonna go have a $500 steak at like, Mastro's or something, right? But it is once in a while that for that experience should help you get motivated, get inspired, so you can continue to do the things that you need to do. Obviously, I'm doing that every day because it's kind of I don't think that I'll never see that as not wasteful, right? But obviously, once in a while, you go out for a nice dinner and do the things that you dream about, touching the dream, as big Ed Milet says, right? Touch your dream, visualize your dream. And that's putting the end in mind. That's literally putting the end in mind. And we plan for that. We plan with that end in mind. We don't just plan to plan. Like, we don't plan for tomorrow for like 17 different things, but none of them really help you to get to the future that you want to get to, right? If you want to start a podcast and you like the next day you're gonna go, whether it's research some topics or get some things on a Word doc or express Excel sheet or like Google Sheets, whatever it is, right? Get some ideas out. That's good progress. But if you want to start a podcast and the next day you're like, oh, let me see what I can do in data analysis, that's not good progress. That's driving one way and said, oh, let me make a left so I can stop following the navigation system and do whatever I want. Yeah, you get my point, right? Always putting that end in mind. So I was reminded that the only thing that matters is our future, the future that we envision for ourselves, for our families, for the generations to come, right? And it became especially real now that I have a kid. Now that this kid depends on the actions that I am taking every single day, every single time. So I'm trying to do my best to keep everything consistent, keep making my habits be better, beneficial for not just me anymore, not just my wife anymore, but for my future generations. It's not, I don't even think about my daughter sometimes. I think about the generations coming after her, making sure that they are all protected, they're all good to go, and they're making sure that I change the family tree. I'm the one that changed the family tree. I don't gotta be crazy rich or crazy wealthy to do it, but I gotta be the person that starts it, and all the curses generationally ends with me. And that's the future. That's the future I envision, and I plan with that end in mind. You gotta plan with that end in mind. Whatever your plan is, you gotta plan with that end in mind. And nothing else matters. Everything else is a distraction. If your end goal is maybe making $10 million by, age 55, or whatever it is, right? That's your end goal. And you gotta plan every single day so you can make another step towards your goal. Heck, if you need to crawl, you crawl. But as long as you walk, going, whatever speed it is, towards your goal, eventually things are going to open up and it's going to be there, right? And that's been my experience so far. I wanted to start this podcast. I wanted to start this podcast a long time ago. But so many times I just been distracted. I'll do it later. Eventually I got fed up myself and said, you know what? I'm going to just start it. If it goes well, it goes well. If it doesn't go well, oh well. I got some experience under my belt. But so far, as long as I stay consistent, there's a lot of conversations that needs to happen anyways, right? So it's good to have these experience, marketing, all that good stuff. But it's just one of the steps I got to take. And then I figure out next. And God will reveal to me the next. And I keep going, right? So those are the couple takeaways from the entrepreneur event. I'm so happy. I'm so glad that I've been meeting some great people recently in the past couple years that has just opened my eyes to not just more business opportunities, more business, just seeing more of business, right? But also opened my eyes to the kingdom. The Bible and all that stuff, and combining those two together, it's been a real blessing. So, Pablo, I want to say thank you for inviting me, and whoever puts it on, Third Wave, Victory Outreach, right? Thank you for putting it on. It's been a blessing, and thank you for being here. Thank you for serving your people, and yeah. So, thank you for being here. Ladies and gents, this is episode 14, Mission Human Excellence. If you like it, give me a like, give me a subscribe. More values coming in, more interviews coming in for sure. So we'll continue to dive into these different topics and different things about excellence, about the things I'm going through, things I'm learning, and all that good stuff. So give me a like, subscribe, comment below, let me know what you think about this episode, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.